The Area 51 Enigma, a cold case file. All right, let's dive right into this explainer, everybody. Today, we are officially reopening one of the most infamous cold case files in modern history. We're going to put on our detective hats and sift through the facts, the wild rumors, and the newly declassified realities of a heavily guarded mystery hidden deep out there in the Nevada desert.
To really kick off our investigation, we have to start with the central question that has literally captivated the world for decades. What exactly is hidden behind those fences? Just imagine a place so incredibly secretive, so heavily guarded by warning signs and armed patrols that the United States government flat out refused to even acknowledge it existed for years. It's basically the ultimate locked room mystery, just on a massive geopolitical scale. I mean, if it's just your run-of-the-mill military base, why the unprecedented level of denial?
So, let's set the scene of our mystery. Area 51 is a highly classified government testing site that was set up back in 1955. And honestly, if you're trying to hide something huge, the isolated Nevada desert is absolutely the perfect hideout. You've got these rugged mountains acting like natural fortress walls, virtually zero nearby towns to harbor prying eyes, and just endless open skies for testing. It was the absolute ideal spot to develop Cold War secrets completely, totally off the radar.
Now, our case file spans several decades. We're looking at a timeline that sparks in 1947 with the Roswell crash, moves to the actual creation of Area 51 in 1955, hits a massive surge of strange sky sightings in the 1960s, and then stretches all the way to 2013, which is when the base was finally officially acknowledged. To really understand this enigma, we have to follow this exact trail of breadcrumbs.
Every good detective story has an inciting incident, right? Well, for the Area 51 mystery, that big catalyst actually happened one state over, a full 8 years before the base was even built. I'm talking about Roswell, New Mexico, back in 1947. Something crashed in the desert there, and it just supercharged the public's imagination. It primed the entire country to start looking up at the skies, and, quite frankly, looking at the government with a deep, deep sense of suspicion.
And what made Roswell so incredibly suspicious was the shifting official narrative. First, the military puts out a press release literally saying they recovered a flying disc. Then, almost immediately, they backtrack. Actually, scratch that, it was just a weather balloon, the oldest, most cliché excuse in the government playbook. Decades later, they finally reveal it was a classified surveillance project. When your prime suspects change their story this many times, it breeds massive public distrust. That shifting narrative is exactly what sparked the rumors that alien technology and maybe even alien bodies were packed up and quietly shipped off to Nevada.
Okay, so with the public already heavily primed for extraterrestrial cover-ups, our investigation moves into the late 1950s and 60s. This is when bizarre new clues started popping up, but this time, directly over the Nevada desert. People weren't just whispering about rumors anymore. They were seeing things with their own two eyes. The desert night sky essentially became a giant canvas for the unexplainable.
Aircraft flying at incredible speeds and impossible altitudes. We have incredibly compelling eyewitness testimony from this era. Pilots and civilians were reporting machines that moved completely silently or darted across the horizon and just vanished. To your average observer in 1960, these physics-defying maneuvers looked exactly like visiting UFOs. There was just no other frame of reference.
Which brings us to the pivotal question of our investigation. Were aliens actually visiting Earth, or was the U.S. military hiding technology that the general public couldn't even fathom? Because of the absolute blackout of information, nobody outside the perimeter of that base knew the real answer. The government's silence created a massive vacuum, and human nature being what it is, we filled that vacuum with the most spectacular, wildest theories possible.
Now, to crack any case, you have to establish a motive. Why on earth would the government maintain such total, uncompromising silence? Well, we have to look at the geopolitical climate of the time. This was the absolute peak of the Cold War. The United States and the Soviet Union were locked in this incredibly intense, high-stakes arms race for military dominance. The stakes literally could not have been higher.
This extreme secrecy created a huge divide in perception. On one side, you had public theories spreading like wildfire. Reverse engineering alien craft, time travel experiments, extraterrestrial contact, the whole shebang. But on the flip side, we have the declassified reality, the development of U-2 spy planes, A-12 reconnaissance jets, and the birth of stealth technology. The truth was grounded in aviation for sure, but it was so incredibly advanced that it practically looked like science fiction. So, the crucial takeaway here is that this extreme secrecy wasn't actually about hiding aliens, it was a matter of sheer national survival. If enemy nations caught wind of America's newest aerial tech, years of vital research could be lost overnight. The government had the strict compartmentalization going on, meaning even the military personnel on the base didn't know what the guys in the very next hangar were building. Secrecy was the ultimate weapon of the Cold War.
But, no secret can stay buried forever. Our cold case finally got a massive, massive break. After decades of total silence, outright denials, and no comments, the government decided to crack open the case files. They finally revealed the truth that had been hiding in plain sight out there in the desert. And believe it or not, it wasn't until the year 2013 that the U.S. government officially acknowledged Area 51's existence. 2013. That is incredibly recent when you think about it. This acknowledgement came through some newly declassified CIA documents relating to the U-2 spy plane program. Finally, the rumors were put to rest. The base was real, it was officially on the map, and it had a thoroughly documented history. And these declassified facts finally decode our earlier clues. Those impossible aircraft people saw, they were U-2 spy planes. To put that into perspective, at a time when commercial flights maxed out at around 20,000 feet, the U-2 was soaring way up at 70,000 feet. If you saw a flash of silver at that impossible height in 1960, of course you'd think it was a flying saucer. The weird shapes reflecting the sun were just the A-12 reconnaissance jets, an early stealth tech. Eyewitnesses weren't seeing aliens, they were literally seeing the future of aviation before it was announced to the world. So, mystery solved, right? We can just close the file and pack it up? Well, not quite. While we have definitively solved the historical puzzle of those 1950s and 60s sightings, this investigation remains very much an open case file. Just because they admitted the base exists to test older planes absolutely doesn't mean they've told us what they are up to right now. Today, huge portions of Area 51's activities remain highly classified. The airspace above it is still some of the most heavily restricted airspace on the entire planet. Try taking a photo near the perimeter fence, and you will very quickly be greeted by armed security. It's widely believed they are testing incredibly advanced military technology out there right now, tech that remains completely, totally unknown to the public. Which leaves us staring right back at those very same fences, asking the ultimate question that makes Area 51 such a powerful pop culture symbol. What is really happening behind those gates today? Is it simply the next generation of drones and stealth bombers? Or, in an era of such rapid technological leaps, are there still secrets out there that would genuinely shock the world?
The story of Area 51 really shows us that human ingenuity can create machines so advanced they look like magic or even extraterrestrial tech. But sometimes, the greatest mystery isn't what we finally know, it's what we still don't know. Think about it. If the government was building aircraft that look like UFOs 60 years ago, what on earth do you think they're building behind those fences tonight?